This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Wednesday, July 22nd. First up, scalable rights. Creator content was the most boring part of the World Cup. A look at content creator-produced content during the World Cup shows, paradoxically, the creators posted some of the blandest content. Scalable points the finger to FIFA's historically restrictive policies on what official partners are allowed to post. Meanwhile, athletes and fans drove the standout moments, and the World Cup drew traffic, with TikTok calling it, quote, the biggest content moment to date, end quote. Next up, audio provides a consistent and reliable touchpoint for back-to-school advertisers. A new Audacy Insights blog post finds audio is reaching back-to-school shoppers more consistently than video as parents pull their spending earlier, with 40% planning to start shopping sooner than usual and 45% actively hunting deals. On Reach, 80% of parents listen to AM/FM radio weekly and 57% listen to streaming audio and podcasts monthly, against 52% who watch broadcast TV. Quote, audio provides a consistent and reliable touch point that other channels struggle to match, end quote. That's from Deepika P. Das, Senior Manager of Research and Insights at Audacy, effectively handing sellers a reach argument for a season that traditionally skews to video. Next up, podcast buying evolves as creators build cross-platform brands. Podcast advertisers are increasingly looking past download counts to weigh a creator's influence across YouTube, social media, video, and live events, according to Acast US Sales Chief Ricardo Neto. Mid-tier creators clearing roughly 50,000 weekly downloads are gaining buyer attention as host-read deals evolve into wider partnerships spanning branded content, product placement, and events. Quote, the definition of podcast has changed from just this traditional RSS experience to now social and video and experiential, end quote, said Neto, a shift that changes how highly engaged niche shows get valued in a market long priced on downloads alone. Next up, video podcast advertising on Netflix. ROI Media 360 argues that the low absolute view counts on Netflix podcasts masks strong advertising performance, with a smaller, more attentive audience outperforming a larger, distracted one. The firm's client data shows Netflix podcasts averaging around 60% completion versus roughly 35% on YouTube, and a SKIMS campaign delivered a verified 20% lift in conversion against its pre-Netflix baseline. A quote from the article, quote, a viewer who sits through 60% of an hour-long intimate conversation is infinitely more valuable to your growth funnel than any number of viewers who click away after 90 seconds, end quote. And for the final top story, Stephen Goldstein, how higher education built a thriving podcast community. Goldstein profiles the fast-growing higher education podcasting sector that measures success by influence rather than chart rank. Podcasts used to recruit students, engage alumni, and share faculty expertise. He points to Higher Ed PodCon, the two-day Cleveland conference founded by Neil McPhadren of Podium Podcast Company, which drew a community of roughly 214 member organizations producing more than 1,600 podcasts combined. As Goldstein says, quote, the healthiest parts of podcasting aren't always the loudest. They're the ones focused less on viral moments and more on creating value for a specific audience, end quote. As for the rest of the news, Triton Digital released its June 2026 Australian podcast ranker, with Mamma Mia Out Loud holding number 1 and news, society and culture, and sports leading in listener categories. Here's a fun one. The Podcast Guys has deleted its YouTube channel to start over 6 years in as a lesson on building audiences with honest numbers. The channel has relaunched with a first episode explaining why the old channel was dead and goals for the new one. Hidden Brain and PRX have announced a new public radio partnership. Drew Afulo's podcast, The Comment Section, has joined Acast. Latin American company Posta has launched, in my humble opinion, a new weekly show exploring the internet's wildest rabbit holes. Pave Studios has announced an expanded roster of voices in true crime, lifestyle, and history. And Matthew Nelson has joined Signal Company #1 as head of production. That does it for today's episode of The Download. You can find links to everything I just talked about by clicking a link in the show notes today that heads to today's website post. You can also subscribe to the newsletter version of The Download to get it sent straight to your inbox every day. Today's issue was produced by myself, Brian Barletta, Tom Webster, and Molly Demillier. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow.